So to create the behavior of the web page. So this is the main advantage of JavaScript we have learned. So by using JavaScript, so we have multiple, so we have seen so many advantages are there. So we know like if you want to do the validation form, so then we can do it. So if you want to change the content dynamically, so we can do it. Someone is calling just. Okay, so then we have to discuss about like we have to create the widgets like a calendar, horoscope, all these things. Excuse me. Yeah, so and moreover, so we can do the, so like fetch the data from the server side technologies, and we can communicate with the data from one page to the, yeah, little bit cold is there. Yeah, fine. So we can use JavaScript in different libraries like frameworks and databases. Okay, so these all things we have covered earlier, right? So the main advantages of JavaScript we have covered. So disadvantages we know very well. These are very important. So first one, cross-browser dependent issues. So what is cross-browser dependent issues? So if you want to write any JavaScript code, so that may be work in IE browser, it may not work in Firefox. So that may be work in Chrome browser, it may not work in Opera browser. So that type of cross-browser dependent issues will occur by using JavaScript. Okay, so but 99% is it will not occur, but only 1% is that 1% is also we need to take care, right? Yeah. Yeah, second one is if you disable the JavaScript, so in for front-end technologies, so in the browser level, we can disabling the JavaScript. If you disable the JavaScript, so even though if you write JavaScript code, Angular, React, Vue.js, Node.js, so it will not work. So that's why if you disable the JavaScript, then there is no actions. So actions or action event something. And finally, so security code. So we can't do security that much by using front-end technologies. So there is no security code for the JavaScript, not only JavaScript, for entire front-end technologies. Okay, so after that we have discussed about display possibilities. So what are the display possibilities like? So normally, if you want to display any data, so inside the browser, so we have to display first, which one? Console.log. This is recommended. Second one is alert or window.alert. So third one is document.write. And the fourth one is so document dot so get element by id of id name dot inner html. So these are the four approaches we will use for display the data inside the browser. Okay, but preferably we will use mostly so these two approaches, right? So later, so we will use document.write. This is old approach. So this is if you want to send a JavaScript result into view page, then we will use so this inner HTML concept. So later we have covered types of JavaScript. So we have inline, internal and external, but recommended only internal and external in real time. But even compared to the internal and external, so we have to use always so external. So because it would be applicable for entire application level. So this is first one we have to use only so web page level. Okay, so that's why in real time always it would be reusable more, right? So that's why recommended always external style sheet, sorry, external JavaScript. We know, right, how to use internal and external. So internal JavaScript, we have to write the script tag, and between that we have to write it. So code, for example, if you want to write console.log, so hello JS something, it is displaying. So if you want to go for external JavaScript, script src equal to, so that path we have to provide. So generally we have to provide the relative path. So JS, so then, so I need to take one JS folder. I want to provide all the JavaScript files inside this JS folder. So then I want to provide, so my file one.js something. So then close it. Guys, please mute your mics. Yeah, so this now my file one.js, we have to write the, as you wish, you can write any JavaScript code. That's it. So first one is the internal JavaScript. So this is external JavaScript file. So these, and in real time we will use mostly so external JavaScript only. Okay. So next, write down so JavaScript, so variables. Okay. So now onwards you can write down the notes. So variables are so used to store the data into memory location. Okay, how? For example, syntax wise, so we need to provide a variable name, right? So if you want to declare any variable, so shortcut is var. So actually variable, so we are giving shortcut. Then we have to mention the variable name. So as you wish, at present I'm providing variable name. So name, so that name I'm trying to provide something Chiru or Suresh or something. Okay. So or otherwise where is equal to some 35 something. So like this, we have to provide the so variable name and that value, variable name, that value. So if you want a Boolean value, so is married equal to so true. Something I need to provide. So this is string value, this is number, this is Boolean. Okay. And moreover, so variable, so here not only variables, JavaScript is case sensitive, but we are discussing about variables, right? So JavaScript variables are case sensitive. Sensitive means if you write var name equal to Chiru, for example, if I write so var name equal to something Suresh, then this name is different, this name is different. Okay, so that's why JavaScript variables or anything, so it is case sensitive. So there are two types of variables are available in JavaScript. There are two types of variables are available in JavaScript. So one is local variable and second one is the global variable. So if you want to understand local variable and global variable, so we need to basic understand about the functions. Okay. So what is function? Then how to call that function. That's it. So remaining functions we will discuss a lot. So it would be very lengthy concept. So we need to discuss about types of functions. How can we write it? So all those things we will cover later stage. But we are at fundamental stage. So just I'm writing so creation of function. How to creation of function? First, we have to write the syntax only. I'm writing function, function name. open curly brace and close the curly brace and write the business logic here. That's it. But for example, this business logic may be 1,000 lines of code is available here. So this 1,000 lines of code will not execute if you write like function like this. So when it will execute, so if you call or if you invoke this function, so then it will invoke this function. So then it will execute this 1,000 lines of code business logic. Otherwise, if I write 10 functions, but without invocation or without calling those functions, useless. Okay, so whenever we are calling that function, then only it will execute inside the function code. Just remember that syntax, that's enough. Okay, so now we will discuss about local variables and global variables, one example. Okay, so first let me write down, so directly HTML head something variables body. So here, if you want, we can write so JavaScript code here also inside the head section also as you wish. So I'm trying to use internal JavaScript. Okay, so instead of so external JavaScript for better understanding. But if you observe, so we can write entire this code only for execution of JavaScript inside the HTML file. Or otherwise, so this code is not required. Just directly you can write script code. HTML head, title, all those things not at all required. Okay, if you want to write any code inside the HTML, so JavaScript code we have to provide inside the script block. So within the script tags, we have to write JavaScript related code. Okay. So initial stage you have to write down. So complete thing, later stage you can ignore it. So now what we have to do it. So inside the script tag, I'm trying to create one function. So function name first function something. Okay. Similar way function second function. So first function, second function are the function names. So once we create the functions, we have to call that function. How to call? Same function name parenthesis. If any parameters are there, then we have to pass the parameter values. Don't worry, we will discuss that one later. Just I'm creating empty parameters. So I have created first function, second function. I'm calling first function, second function. So now I will try to write the business logic. So what is that business logic? So if I write outside the functions one variable where, so that variable name is G, some 10. So that G equal to 10 means indirectly that is global variable. So inside the first function, I'm writing where L1 local variable something 20. So where L2 equal to some 30. So this global variable can access inside the first function, inside the second function. But this local variable can access only within this block. If you try to access this L1 inside the second function, then it will throw an error. Right? Even L2 variable cannot access inside the first function. Okay, so now let me write down. Okay, so let me write down some theory about this local variable and global variable. So then you will get to know a little bit more. Then we will come back. So local variables, okay, let me write down first local variables. So local variables, okay. If you want, you can write them first. So it can access, so within the function. This is very important. Okay. So this is a local variable. It can access within the function only. Okay. How? Console.log n1. So the same story would be applicable for L2. So both are local variables. Okay. So now if you try to print, twenty thirty. So 20 is related to this one, local variable, and this one is 30 L2. But I want to access global variable also. How can we access? If you want to access outside, we can access. Because, so where we have initialized in the same position I'm trying to access. That is coming. Okay. So the same thing, what we have to do. So this global, can we access this global variable inside the first function? Inside the second function? Yes, we can access. How? Just write down g comma. You can write one more console.log, then we have to write it. But I don't want to do all those things. So directly I'm writing side by side, it will display. So 20, 10, 30, 10. So 20 is the local variable. So G global variable is 10. So 20, 10, 10, 30, 10. So this is the way we have to use local variables and global variables. But this is normal story. So now I will show you one magic here. Okay. So that magic is nothing but, so this L1 I'm trying to access inside the second function. So which one? L1. Immediately it will throw an error. So uncaught reference error L1 is not defined. So means, so this L1, so not defined, you did not define or you did not initialize or something. So that's why it is giving not defined error. See, even L2, if you try to access inside the first function, same error, we will get it. Okay, so but if you remove the where keyword inside the function, now it will not give any error. Just check it out. It's working. So because without var keyword, if you provide any variable inside the function, then it would be treated as a global variable. Okay, so just write down. So before that second point, we will write it first, local variable. So variables with same name can be used in different functions. So just listen carefully. So variables with the same name can be used in different functions. For example, so in the L1 it is here also there. So if you want, we can provide L1 here also. No conflict. So this L1 scope would be within this particular function. So this L1 scope would be in this particular scope only, right? So that's why, so we will get, if you try to access L1 here, so then it will display 30. If you try to access L1 here, it will display 20. But there is no relationship between this one L1 and this L1. So because this scope would be until here. Okay, so fine. So this is nothing but second point. Variables with the same name can be used in different functions, no issues. So local variables are created. So when function starts and deleted when function completed. So that means, so whenever we have to start the function right from here to here, so that local variables will create when we start the function. So this deleted that variables once function is completed, so then we can't access outside that function. Okay, so that is nothing but local variables. So then same thing, global variables. So what is global variable? It can access so all the functions. So global variables can access entire application. Okay, so variables with the same name can be used only once. Otherwise, it will override. That means global variable, for example, if you write G, if you take G variable here, then it will override and this latest G value it will display. Okay, for example, so now, so which G value will print? So initially it will go to the global variable. So the same variable it want to display, but here in the local variable, it will override that value 10 to 20. So now here 20 value display. Okay, so variables with the same name can be used only once, otherwise, so it will override. Okay, so these are the 3 points, and here 2 points we have used. Now write down one note. So inside the function, without where keyword, so not inside the function without where keyword, it would be treated as a global variable. Okay, so inside the function without where keyword, it would be treated as a global variable. Just write down this one. Okay, so the persons who wants to write it, you can write it. Then I will bring some water so you can write down. Yeah, something you're asking, Suraj, means that same name variable will override global variable only for that function. Yes, you are right. Yeah. So whatever the G value would be there, right? So G is assigning to 10, right? But here, come to the local variable here, the same variable would be there, but here it will override that 20. Okay, but actually what's happening internally? So this G value, so here what's happening? This scope would be until here. Okay, so this scope would be entire, so global level. So indirectly that one, but actually if you want to understand directly, so what you have to do, this variable scope from here to here, it will start from here and it will close here. Okay, but the thing is, if you use this G value 10, so if you try to use it inside, it will not take this one, it will take this one only, right? So because, so that local function variables will take from here to here, that scope. Okay, so fine. So I will explain scopes, then you can understand exactly. So what's happening internally, where it will store all those things. I will take nested functions, then I will explain. Okay. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah, so here now, so we have done the simple variables, global and local we have taken, and as well as, so I'm trying to remove the, I think I have already explained this one, where keyword related things, right? So here, so if I provide where keyword, so without, normally if you try to access L1 here, it will not access. But if you remove the where keyword, then we can access. Now we will get the error, right? Don't confuse. So L1, we have declared inside the first function, but we are trying to access inside the second function. Okay, leave it this one. Okay, now you can understand. Okay, this is not 11, L1. So that L1 we are trying to access inside the second function, but we will get error. But if you remove the where keyword, so then it will not give any error. So because, so this L1 would be treated as a global variable. So like similar to G. So now that 20 value can be accessed anywhere in any function. So this is the blender mistake inside the var keyword. So that's why we will use a latent constant from the ES6 onwards. So ES6 means advanced JavaScript. Okay, fine. So now I want to give you the small reserved words and or keywords while declaring the variable name. Okay, we should not provide those keywords. For example, where I want to provide do. So do is already predefined keyword. So where delete. So that delete keyword is already available inside the JavaScript. So now what you understand? So variable name should not provide reserved words or keywords names. Okay, so just write down. Okay, let me provide this example first. So where L1, where L2, console.L1G. Okay, so everything you understand this one, right? So if you want to better understand global where, so local where, so this is, so one more local where, two, this is one, so local, oh sorry, so local where one, and this is a global variable. So this is local where two. Okay, so now if you try to print, so we can try to print the local where2 and global, no issues. But if I try to access first function related variable local var1, so it will give error, that is uncaught reference error not defined. So L local var1 is not defined, it will display. Okay, so this is the code you need to. Okay, save it to the particular notepad or somewhere. So again, now you can write down one more note. So what is that note? So variable, okay, variable names should not use reserved words or keywords. So I will give you a few of them. So do not remember all these things. We will learn automatically these things. Just listen, that's it. So await. So we will use this one at the time of promises. So break keyword we will use at the time of, so break and continue conditional statements. So switch case. Okay, so I have remembered ABC level, so that's why I'm giving flow. So case, catch, and class. Okay, so we will discuss at the time of ES6 this one. Case, catch, class, and yeah, const. So ES6 level we will use it. So continue, yes. So we have actually, so 5C keywords are there, so that's why. Okay, so and default would be there. So D with default and delete, do. So these are the keywords are there. So else is there, and extend at the time of inheritance would be there. Extends, not extend. So then okay, then F, so F false Boolean related things. So finally, at the time of exception handling, so for loop and function. So these all things we should not use it. F, okay, fine. So then we have to G related keywords. I think it's not have. Go to in Java, it is there, but not in the JavaScript. Okay, F, G not there. Something H, I think H also not there. I is there. If I, J, K. So then I then implements inheritance related things, then we have to use it. Okay, so import we have to use it. Okay, fine. So these all are things, predefined keywords provided by the JavaScript. So we should not use, so we have few more things. So like public, private, protected. So like super keyword. So then we have used this keyword. So true, void. So these all things are predefined keywords provided by the JavaScript. We should not use these keywords as a variable names. Just remember that point. That is very important. Okay, fine. So now variables wise, that is enough. So now we will discuss about data types. This is very important. What is data type? Okay, so generally in JavaScript, they have given two types of data types. So whatever the thing we are providing, right? Internally, this is number type. So this is string type. So this is Boolean type. This is array type. So this is object type. So like that, so different data types are available in JavaScript. So what are those different data types we will see now? So there are two types of, so data types are available in JavaScript. Guys, these all are fundamentals for every programming language. These are mandatory. Okay. So one is primitive data types. So what are primitive data types? For example, okay, we will write first. So non-primitive are so reference. Okay, so these are the two data types are available. So primitive and non-primitive or reference data type. So what are primitive data types are available? Just remember only these five. So number, string, boolean. Yeah, these all are predefined. Yeah, so boolean, undefined, and null. So these five are primitive data types. Okay, so other than these primitive data types, remaining all are non-primitive data types or reference data types. So what are those? So here, object, array, function, so regex. Even one object is there in JavaScript. So object is there. Okay, don't worry, we will discuss that object. So date, so wrapper classes and all, user defined data types. So not like that predefined and user defined. So these all are predefined only, not user defined, right? So including inside the non-primitive data types, you can provide even user defined data types also as you wish. Okay. Yeah. So guys, just remember for us. So here predefined data types or user defined data types. Just remember predefined data types means what? So provided by the so that API. But these all are provided by the API, right? So all are predefined data types only. But user defined data types means what? Like customer, okay. What is that? Product data type. So this type of things are so customized data types or user defined data types. So our own created, okay. So ourselves, we are creating some data types. But these object array, all these things provided by the JavaScript API only, right? So that's why, so do not compare like predefined and user defined. Think about only primitive and non-primitive way. Okay, so this is number, string, boolean, undefined, and null. So these all are predefined. Sorry, these all are primitive and non-primitive are these things. Both are predefined only. Yeah. Yeah, so primitive data types, just we have to provide the simple things like number, string. We have provided like, so object level, we are storing more information. So primitive level, we are storing less information. Best example is var a equal to 10. So where, so array equal to, so we have to store 33. This is a simple example, right? So this is so primitive data type. So this is non-primitive data type, right? So mostly non-primitive data types are object types. So this is object is one object, array is okay. We have already written object. So array is one object, function also indirectly one object, regex is object, date is object. So that's why every object is having one reference, right? So that's why they will call it as reference data types. Okay, fine. So generally non-primitive or reference data types are objects. So primitives means normal simple values. Okay, so now let me provide so small thing here you need to understand a little bit more. So whenever we other languages have init float as different data types. So in JavaScript, does floating point is considered in number data? Yes. Yes, Mukul. So generally number, we will discuss all those things, but he's asking now only questions. So at the time of number data type separately, we will discuss those things. Okay, fine. He asked that question, Mukul. So generally, if you provide var a equal to 10, right? So if you want to go for Java or .NET, those technologies, what will happen? So we have to provide the same thing like this. Okay, so like that, we have to provide individually that integer, float, and long, all those things. But in JavaScript, everything is so like this only. So var equal to, so even 10 exponential, so 2 like that. So floating, integer, and exponential, all those things we have to provide inside the number type. So that types also, so we should not specify. Do we specify any type here? No, right? So this is only var. So why var? So this is JavaScript will take care about based on the value. So that's what I'm explaining here. Yeah. So what is why JavaScript we did not specify any type? Even we are not specifying this is a number. So even where b equal to 0, something is there. We did not specify anywhere number string, right? I did not mention anywhere. But if you go for the TypeScript, then we will specify like this number, string, boolean. So like this, we have to specify the type. But coming to the JavaScript level, we did not specify these types. So in JavaScript, we have to specify directly value. No need to mention any, what is that type? So why? Because JavaScript is loosely typed or dynamic typed scripting language. So that type will be determined automatically. So while the program is processed. So one more time. So in the TypeScript level, Java level, .NET level, so we need to specify the type of the variable. But so in JavaScript level, we should not specify the type. So type will be determined based on the value. So type will be determined, means identified. So based on the value automatically. So while the program is being processed. So while the program processing, so then it will identify the, okay, this is a number, this is a string. How? Based on the value. So for example, if you provide var d equal to true, so this is boolean actually, but if you specify single quote or double quote, then it will be treated as a string. This is not boolean, string, because we have used double quotes or single quote, right? So based upon that rules, it will identify JavaScript, and based on the type, it will determine automatically. Okay, fine. That is very important. So that's why, so this is JavaScript is loosely typed scripting language or dynamic typed scripting language. So JavaScript is loosely typed scripting language. So actually, we did not cover this topic. Actually, if you learn Angular, so then we can learn this TypeScript. Okay, we will see. So we will discuss with Pranbir and Rohit, and then we will find out if permits. Then I will try to explain this TypeScript also. So this is very useful. So even nowadays in the React JS, sometimes they are using this TypeScript also, but mostly JavaScript. So including ES6 sometimes. So TypeScript is strictly typed scripting language. So means we are writing. So at the time of declaration only, we have to specify the type. Okay. So if you want, you can write one small note, same note only. So JS is loosely typed scripting language. Okay, there we have written loosely, right? So we will write dynamic, both are same. Okay, we will write like this. Language, so that means we don't need to specify the type of the variable. So because so data type, the type, so will get determined or identified so automatically, so while the program being processed. Okay, so this is the note you have to write down fast. Okay, so then I will write down some data types internally. So what are the data types are available inside the JavaScript? Make it fast. Everyone noted, right? So I already told you, so better to maintain one rough notebook. So it would be very, very useful. So every time that recording session listening, so it would be difficult. So that's why, so write down at the time of class only. Okay, fine, right? Yeah, so now we will discuss about types. First, we need to write. So is some 35. So where name, Chiru, or Chiru. So where, so something like a customer. So where something customer equal to null. So where is married equal to true. Okay, so we will write here Boolean here. So it would be easy for us. Where so course equal to, I'm writing area of values. So try to understand here. So I will explain each and everything detail later. So course name is like Angular. Okay, we will write our course. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Angular. Okay, why Angular? So React. So these are the so array of courses are there. So this is array. So now what we have to do, so we have to write down inside object level. So if you want to write, so something customer I have written, so employee. So curly braces, we have to use it. So try to understand. If you did not understand, also no issues. I will explain again later. So employee ID 101. So employee name something Chiru. So this is object. So where so my func equal to function. So this is function. So where pattern equal to, so if you write any regular expression. Okay, so now each and everything let me write down. Okay, it will take too much of time. I will write side by side. So this is a number type. So let me write down in green color. So this is string. Why it is not working? Oh, black is coming. Okay, so boolean, undefined, null, array, object, function, so resxp. So these all are primitive data types. So that's why I have written top. So semicolon is not necessary. So but it's a good practice. Python and JavaScript is forgiving. So if you don't write, it will itself consider a, yeah. So actually, end of this statement is not required in JavaScript. We have already discussed a lot, right? So at the time of fundamentals. So if you want to provide, you can provide, because so if you are a backend developer, if you have any experience on Java or something .NET technologies, so then you can provide. So, but unnecessarily one semicolon means one character unnecessarily waste, right? Even while writing, so 1,000 lines of codes, so 1,000 colons are unnecessary waste, right? So as you wish, if you are already addicted to the in the Java or .NET, so then it's okay. But otherwise, ignore it based on your requirement. Okay, fine. So first one, all those things. So those all are primitive data types. And second one is the non-primitive, primitive data types syntax. So these all are non-primitive data types syntax. Write down fast. So these are enough for data types wise. So we will discuss all these data types. So one by one, one by one. So we will more focus on these things. Okay, so these things, very small things. Okay, we will use simple number string boolean, but in real time, we will more focus on only object related things, that is non-primitive data types. Noted, right? Yeah. So now we will go for the operators. So these all are fundamentals. The persons who knows already fundamentals, they may feel little bit bored, but we need to concentrate on. So for everyone, right? So that's why we are explaining. Yeah. So generally, operators are symbols. Symbols means so like plus, so minus, so multiplication, star, division, modulo, all those things, right? So these all are nothing but operators. So why we have to do these operators? If you want to do any operations on particular operands like A, B, C, X, Y, K, L, so these all are operands, right? So in those scenarios, we will use these operators. Okay. So for example, just write down. So operators are symbols, so which are so used to perform operations on operands. Okay, so here For example, syntax I'm writing. Okay, what is the syntax? So where, so result something. Okay, this is the variable, or otherwise, so where add equal to something, a plus b, something is there. So here plus is the operator, a is the operand, b is the operand. Okay, so a operand, b operand, plus is the operator. So this, based on this operator, we can do the operations. So this type of operators they have given. So basically 5 types of operators there are. So mainly, so actually bitwise operators are there, but nowadays no one is using. So there are mainly, so 5 types of operators in JavaScript. So one is arithmetic. So I'm writing a little bit fast because these all are operator common for every programming language. So comparison, so arithmetic operator, comparison operator, so logical operator, so then we have to use the assignment operator, and fifth one is so ternary operator. So these are the 5 operators are available in JavaScript. So what are arithmetic operators? These all are not new things we know. So plus, addition, subtraction, so multiplication and division, modulo. Okay, so these all are things, and so programming language level. So increment and decrement. So increment means one value we have to increment, plus plus, one value decrement, minus minus. So these all are comes under arithmetic operator. So coming to the comparison, so we have to use double equal to. So we will learn this triple equal to, especially in the JavaScript and Python. Okay, so remaining things, same story, not equal to, so not double equal to. So we have to use greater than, so greater than or equal to, less than, less than or equal to. So these all are comparison of, so any two variables, right? So variables or objects or something. So then next one, logical operator. So this is a logical and logical or and logical not. So these are the 3 things we have to use. So assignment operator, we have to provide equal. Okay. So plus equal. So the similar way, so minus equal, star equal, division equal. So these all are the shortcut assignment operator. We will learn even modulo equal also. So finally, ternary operator, this is very, very important. So we will write the test or condition. So this test or condition is true. So then print the expression 1. So or execute the expression 1. Otherwise execute the expression 2. If you know the if else condition, so this is if condition, if success, this one, if fails, this one. But this ternary operator shortcut for the if else conditions. Okay, so this is very powerful in real time. Okay, just note down fast. So now we will see simple examples of operators. So while explaining, so you should write down parallelly, then you can remember easily. So everyone is done, right? So I need at least 5 to 6 pings. So instead of 25 or something, so then I can understand, okay, these guys are interacting. Okay, fine. So now onwards, I will ask you some questions here. So don't worry. So here I'm writing one simple example. So did I ping this example to you? All right. Okay, so now onwards, we don't want to use HTML, head, title, body, all those things. So directly we will write a script. So between the script tag, we will write the JavaScript code. That's it. So if you write outside of that script, that is HTML code. Inside the script tag, if you write any code, that is JavaScript code. Okay, so just remember like that. Yeah, so now inside the script, so just I'm writing simple variable. So where x equal to 10. So or we will see is something. Okay, so here I'm trying to use so is equal to so is plus I want to add one is in the next year. So I will try to print this value console.log is. So how much everyone knows about this simple logic and how to print it. So I do something adding one is means so next year is 36 it will display. So go to there, F12 36. But so we have learned console.log, alert, document.write, right? So but inner HTML we did not discuss till now. So now let me try to print this is inside the inner HTML. So if you want to use inner HTML, we have to write the HTML one tag or element. So that element should have ID. So for example, I'm writing div tag. So if you want to write, you can write some text between that or otherwise ignore, but ID equal to something, my ID. So now this JavaScript result, so earlier we have displayed here console.log, but now I want to display this JavaScript result between the div tag. So if you write like this, hard-coded value, right? So now JavaScript result I'm trying to print inside the view pages. So then we have to use inner HTML property. How? Document dot get element by ID of so where in HTML in which place you want to display, right? So based upon that ID, for example, we have one more paragraph that ID equal to so my other ID something. Okay, but I want to display here, but not here. So if you display this ID here, so then it will display the result here. Okay, so just think about that one. Sir, if I provide the data, then what will happen? It will execute the first HTML. So later it will override this value here. Okay, fine. So now I want to display some data there, right? So I want to give this my ID. Dot inner HTML equal to I want to assign this is result. Okay, so if you want to write some text here, you can write it, but it will override. So div text, para text something. Now check it out. So div text is overridden, para text is displaying. So because in this particular ID, it is displaying JavaScript result. If you write, so now it would be reversed. Div text 36 will display. So now you understand, right, how to use inner HTML. Okay, so if you want to display JavaScript result into view pages, so then we will use inner HTML property. Okay, so we are concentrating on actually so this operator, but parallelly we are learning inner HTML property. So if you understand this property, once repeat it. Yeah, Pratiksha. So in HTML, when we have to use it. So JavaScript, we have written so 10 lines of code or 20 lines of code. This is actually communication between from JavaScript to view pages. So here, what's happening? So I have written 10 lines of code. So finally, I need to store into some variable, right? So for example, I'm writing so where add equal to, okay, so where a equal to 10, so where b equal to 20, so where result equal, where add equal to a plus b. So this is our logic, simple logic. So now that result, if you want to display in the view page particular place, so then we will use in HTML. So that add operation, we need to assign. So document to object inside that get element by ID. So if you know the form elements, okay, HTML form elements, we have already discussed it, right? So like, what is that? We have provided username, input type equal to text. So ID equal to uname. So value equal to name equal to uname something. But how to retrieve the values? So based on the document dot get element by ID dot value, right? So here also same document dot get element by ID of ID. So instead of value, that is text field. So this is so just inner HTML means so inside this whatever the data is there, so we are replacing with in this particular ID. So which result you want to provide? If you want, you can provide hard coded data here, something, but I'm trying to provide so JavaScript result. So what I have executed till now. So that value, so whichever the ID is there in that particular position, it will display this result. So for that, we will use inner HTML property. So then this is also one of the display possibility, right? So if you want to display the data, so where? So wherever that ID, we are mentioning the same ID we have to mention here. So in that particular place only, it will display the data. Okay, fine. So our aim is operators. Okay, now come to the operators. Yeah. So if you observe a is equal to 35, a is equal to a is plus 1. So we have used arithmetic operator here, right? So plus operator. But I will try to use assignment operator also here. This is assignment operator, right? So I will give you so one more shortcut assignment operator here plus equal to how we will see. Same thing what we have written. For this, I will write same thing, that one only. So is plus equal to, so see, listen carefully. So is plus equal to 1. This one and this one both are same. Okay, so here is 35. So is equal to is plus 1, 35 plus 1. So 36 will store. So here also indirectly is plus equal to means assignment operator shortcuts. So a is equal to is plus 1 indirectly. So same story, it will display 36. If you want, 37 will display. Okay, fine. So this is nothing but so assignment operator. So here arithmetic operator. So and here I'm trying to use assignment operator. This is also assignment operator. Okay, so comparison operators and logical operators. So ternary operators. So ternary operator now I will explain, but I don't want to explain each and every like so comparison equal and all those things. We will get it so on the So remaining examples, if I explain here and we will get the situation for the double equal to triple equal to operator, why we have to do it. So it would be duplicate, right? So that's why, so don't worry about comparison operator and logical operators. Those two operators we will use regularly, don't worry. Okay, so in the next coming examples, we will explain. So now we will go for the ternary operator, how to use it. If you understand this ternary operator, so then we can play with JavaScript at least 20%. Okay, let me explain. So just remember this syntax first. Okay. Now, so write down the example. Okay, do you want this one? So guys, please ping me, sir, ping me example. So based upon that, so you have to practice first as this example. So later you will try to modify, right? So then you can save the time, right? Yeah, so now let me explain. So ternary operator. So I'm trying to create one simple text field and I'm trying to create one button. Okay. So enter is, so I'm trying to do small matrimonial website. Okay. So enter is, I'm asking. So enter is, I want to provide the is. So where inside the text field input type equal to text. Okay. If you want to provide a default value, then you can provide a default value also. So that is 20. So placeholder, it will give the hint. Value means it will carry forward. So I have created one text field. So now let me create button also. So button name is something, click something. So that button writing on click event. So whenever we have to click on the button, then we need to call something, right? So matrimonial something, one function. Okay, so once we call this function, then we need to write the function inside the script, right? So how to write the function? Function. So then we have to write the function name. So just now we have learned, right, how to communicate. So how to call the functions, right? So let me explain. So normally, if you want to communicate or if you want to call JavaScript functions through JavaScript, so then how to use it? So we have already learned. So function add. So if you want to call JavaScript functions from JavaScript only. So from HTML, then how? So here, so we have to use one of the button. So if you know these things, no issues, but the persons who are new to the programming, so then you should be aware of these things. So on click, so I'm trying to create the same function, add. Okay, so then we have to provide button name is add. So then how to call function add, same thing. Okay, so this is the way we have to do it. So this is a JavaScript function we are writing. We are calling like this inside the JavaScript. So if it is HTML, if you write any JavaScript function, if you want to call this function from HTML, so we have to use the event name that is on click. So not only on click event, we can use different events on blur, on mouse over, on mouse leave. All these things would be there. Okay, so based on that event name, we need to call the function. Okay, so you understand, right? Through HTML level, we are calling function. Through JavaScript level, we are calling function. So here, same thing. So through HTML level, we are calling the function. Okay, so whether it is calling or not, for checking, just write down alert, function is calling, just for testing. So enter is, we have created everything. So button name is click. So now if you click on click, so okay, otherwise I will write console.log. Okay, so what's happening here? So this is HTML area. Below console one is JavaScript area. So if I click on click, then it should come that data to the here, right? So at present, that function is calling or not, we are verifying communication is there or not. Yes, it is working. So communication between HTML to JavaScript, it's working. So now our target is we need to retrieve this data from HTML to JavaScript. So for that, what we have to do? Okay, so document dot get element by ID. Okay, ID name we have to provide. So if you want to provide ID, then we have to provide the ID here, right? Something ID name is the same is we have to mention here. So what are the things we are providing here? The same thing we need to mention. So this is input field, right? We need to provide the value. If it is normal element, we have to use the inner HTML. But here I'm trying to retrieve the text field value from input to the JavaScript. So then we have to use the value. So whether that value is coming or not, so we need to check it with console.log. Okay, save, refresh. So 20 already there, that is by default 20. If you give 30, it's working fine. So finally, that input field value we are getting inside the JavaScript. From HTML to JavaScript, we are getting the data. So now we will write the logic, right? So which logic? So whatever the age data we are getting, if it is less than 25 years, so he or she is not eligible for matrimonial. If is greater than 25, greater than or equal to 25, so then, so those all are eligible for matrimonial, right? So let me take it as, okay, before printing this value, I'm trying to assign this whole value into one variable. So that variable where is, right? So generally, if you take is here outside the function, we can't access, right? So then generally what we have to do, so this is, if you want, we can define outside if you want globally. No, sir, I want to use this is inside this function, then keep it, no issues. Okay. So, and moreover, so is generally what we have to do in real time. First, we have to declare the variable, then we have to assign the value. So this is recommended in real time, right? So for that, what we are trying to do where is, so I have declared, so then I need to assign. So generally what we have to do, we have to assign here directly. But what I'm trying to do, so dynamically we are assigning, oh sorry. So actually we are getting this value from the input box. So instead of hard coding, we are getting the data from the HTML. That's it. Okay. So now finally we have declared the variable. We have initialized with the value. So now what should I do? I want to write the logic. So which logic? So ternary operator I'm using. For example, is, for example, less than 25 years. Okay. So then, so we need to write, so he is or she is not eligible. eligible for matrimonial less than 25. So otherwise, he or she is eligible. I'm writing only eligible instead of writing entire thing. Okay. So, but here, this whole expression, so we need to store it into one variable, right? So for example, this variable is marriage. So if we want to assign anything, so before that, we have to declare the variable. So this is, I'm following the rules. Okay. Yeah, then I'm trying to provide. Sir, why we have to do it? Where is, where marriage, we can write it, right? But so what we are writing here, this is the naming conventions and all those things. So as it is in the real time, how we follow, we are writing the same approach. So if you want, we can write where is here directly, where marriage here directly, no issues. But in real time, first we have to declare the variables. So then we have to initialize different values. Yeah, finally, so we got the years and we got the marriage also. So now that marriage we are trying to display, so which value we will get it console.log. So marriage. Okay, so based on that value, what's happening internally, we will verify. Save. So 20, if you click, he or she is not eligible because so less than 25. If you give 26, then eligible greater than 25, right? Some guys they may ask, sir, if I provide 25, so less than 25, so that is false, right? So I did not give any equal. So again, eligible. Okay, so this is the situation. We have to do it based on your condition. Okay, so here, whatever the condition we are writing, based on that, if it is true, this true, then it will display this message. If this condition is false, then it will display this eligible. Okay, so now based on that 20, 25, 30, 35, based on that value, it will check the condition. So that result we are storing into this one and trying to print that value. So this is the way we have to do the ternary operator. Okay, I'm trying to fetch the data. So then we are checking the ternary operator and finally we have displayed the data. If you have any doubts, then you can ask me in this example because we will use a lot this one. So not only for JavaScript or Python. So not only JavaScript, it would be useful for Python, Java, .NET, everywhere. Mostly we will use ternary operator. So unnecessarily, if you have only so one or two, so means conditions like if else, we will use it. Give example in chat box here. Who is that? I think Shubham, you already aware of JavaScript. So guys, I'm following step by step. The persons who don't know anything about JavaScript, I'm explaining. If I explain something else a little bit more, so then remaining guys will confuse. So just remind this point. So because this is very useful for the, so each and everyone, not only for the persons who knows JavaScript. Okay. Yeah. So this ternary operator similar to the if else. Okay. So if you use if else instead of we can use ternary operator, this is the shortcut. Okay, so we will discuss at the time of if else, then you can understand. Okay, fine. So now we will go for what is that? Control statements. So till now you are clear, right? So we have discussed about operators. So especially arithmetic operator, assignment operator, ternary operators we have discussed. Comparison and logical operators, we will discuss examples. So at the time of functions, we will discuss, right? Then you will get it all those things. Yeah. So now we will go for the control statements. These control statements are very important. So let me draw the diagram. So then I will give you the break. So the output is showing in backend. I think it should show in front end. Correct me, sorry. So the output is showing in backend. I think it should show in front end. What is backend and front end here? So if you want to display this one here, so then take one div. So that is nothing. So div id equal to, so my id, if you want to display anything in the view page, so just take, I have already explained that inner HTML, right? That's why I did not give. So then what you have to do, document dot get element by id. You should understand about concept. I have already explained inner HTML, then why we have to provide. So then my id dot inner HTML equal to marriage. That's it. So now this data will display here. Okay, save. So enter age, click here. He is not eligible for a matrimonial. So if you give 26 or something, so he is eligible for matrimonial. Just I have displayed here instead of we have to display. Okay, fine. So what is the use of showing it in background code? Correct. But sir, what is the use of showing it in background code? No, no. So you are saying like why we have to display inside the JavaScript code, right, Rishabh? Yeah. So for learning, so we are displaying the output here. But in real time, we have to display every time inside the view page only. But so what we are trying to do here, console.log, why we have to write it? So just for our understanding whether proper data is displaying or not. But every time, so what we have to do? So we have to display inside the view pages. But if I want to write view pages, so how many lines of code we have to write it extra? This one and this whole thing we need to write extra. So instead of simple console.log. So I'm trying to reduce the code. Then we will try to so explain few more things, right? So otherwise, every time we have to display the data inside the view only. So even JavaScript, Angular, Vue, React, just everything we have to display in the HTML code only. But the thing is, so if you know the so result, so what we are concentrating on here, so we are concentrating on only ternary operator. So that ternary operator result, whether you want to use the alert or console.log or document.raw, what is that, write or inner HTML as you wish. So that is the reason we are using here console.log mostly. Even so in future, we don't want to use console.logs also. Just we will use the breakpoints. Okay. So just if you want to understand, so it's just to show that the JS code is correct, right? I did not get you 1 second. What is that, Rishabh? So it's just to show that the JS code is correct, right? Means you are asking about this one?
नहीं सर, वो जो आपने जो ब्राउजर में शो किया था कोड, उसमें जो आउटपुट आया था तो वो किस लिए था?
Yeah, that's what I told you, right? So this is okay, but the thing is, so we can write the simple thing. You can write it here, and finally we get the result, right? So that result you can display wherever you want, no issues. Even so, if you want to use JavaScript, right? So we don't want to display any JavaScript code inside the JavaScript. So except alert. So that alert also we will use at the time of validations. Otherwise, so this alert document.write console.log, this inner HTML, these things we should not use in real time. Okay, so why we have to write it here? For understanding. So in future, we will use breakpoints. Okay, let me, so actually I'm trying to go one by one, but you're asking doubts more here. So for example, let me provide here. So I got your point, sir. Why, sir? Finally, we have to display the data inside the view. That is correct only. So, but the thing is, so at the time of we will discuss about React.js, right? Then you will find out exactly. So I want to show you the output inside the components inside the view pages, the same output. Okay, then you can identify, understand easily. So here also same thing. I'm explaining just so marriage. So leave it. So actually what we have to do in real time, the flow of the application, if you want to understand, see here, but actually I want to explain at the time of functions, but you are asking too many questions here. Okay, so this is the file, right? So we have already learned elements, console. Now we are going to the sources. So if you write like this, what will happen? Even don't write even console.logs also in real time. So what we have to do? So just click on that in which place we are calling that function. So then it will come inside that function. So is marriage, nothing is there, just declare the variables that it is going inside. So that's it. So these all are indirectly console.logs breakpoints. Okay. So now if you click on click, see that button click first, it will execute this one. So then it will call matrimonial. Then it will come to the inside. So then it will come to this line. Check it out. So click on this one. See, so initially age is undefined, marriage is undefined because this seventh line is did not execute till now. So if you click on next, so now age value is 20. So till now marriage value is undefined because that line till now did not execute. So if you click on next, so then marriage value is he or she is eligible for the matrimonial. So even this console.log is not required, right? So until here is enough, right? But finally, if you want to display the data at present, so we have to use in the where, so that particular inner HTML, we have to use it. So if you want to display the data inside the JavaScript, so we have to use the console.log or alert or document.write. But just for our understanding, but later the stage, we will decide one big HTML file. We have to display the table, then we have to display the dynamic data, all those things later stage we will see. But at present, if you want, we can use anything in our HTML, console.log, alert, document.write. Why? Because our target is we need to learn what is this ternary operator, not from the display of the possibilities. So that is your wish. You can use any one of the display possibilities. Okay. So that is the based on example. We will go for one by one. Okay, fine. Yeah, so now we will go to the next conditional statements. Okay, do one thing. So go for a break. So then come back. So within 10 minutes. So then we will discuss with control statements. Okay, fine. But don't worry, what are the things I have what is that explain here? Forget about these things. So I will explain it's very clean and neat because so these debugging points are very important in real time. Okay. So at the time of functions, I will discuss a little bit more. Yeah, yeah. Okay, fine. So now we will discuss about that control statements. So let me draw the diagram now. So it is very important. So just so I'm writing entire control stress statements. So based on that, so we can easily understand. Okay, so control statements generally, so we have to use selection, iteration, and jump. selection statements, iteration statements, and jump statements. So each and every statement we will discuss, but before that, so just what are the statements are available we will discuss. So again, this selection statements we have to discuss about one by one. So that is if else statement. So second one is the switch case. So if else, I don't want to write again statement. So next one is the switch case. So the similar way, iteration statements, these all are we know for loop, while loop, do while loop. For loop, while loop, should do while. Okay, so here, so just draw this one fast. And finally, so jump statements, generally we have to use break and continue. Okay, so if you understand this diagram, so then we can play with, so which one is the selection statement, which one is the iteration, which one is the jump statement. So these all are combinedly, we will call it as control. So if you want to flow would be there, right? Program flow would be there. If you want to control that flow of the program, so then we will use these control statements. So if you want to write any program, so variables are important, operators are important, and as well as these control statements are very, very important. Okay, so now we will discuss one by one statements. Okay, so before that, just write down some theory about control statements. So sometimes they will call it as so conditional statements also. Okay, so what is control statements? So control statements, like it's a statements. So if you want to define just normal flow of the program, so then we will control it, the entire flow of the program. So generally, so if you want to, so why we have to use these control statements? So to perform so different actions based on the different conditions. So we will write the some conditions, based on that we will write the different actions on that. So generally, okay, I will write it. So yes, sir. Okay, fine. So if you want to draw a diagram or draw it, so then I will go for theory points. So then we will go for examples. Note down, right? So noted or still writing? Yeah, fine. Okay. Okay. Some guys, they may write down notes, right? So that is the reason. So that's why I'm not giving much time. So I'm giving very less time only for them. So generally, control statements are statements so that define the normal flow of the program. So normal flow of the program. So the main advantage of control statements, control statements is to perform different actions. Okay, so based on different conditions. And generally, so we have there are three types of control statements in JavaScript. So one is selection. I don't want to write again. You have already done all those things. So just I'm going for directly selection statements. Okay. So what are those? So if, so else if, else and switch, right? So why we have to use if condition? So generally, if is used to specify the one block of code to execute if the condition is true. Okay, so let me write down. So to specify a block of code. Okay, we will write that block of code to be executed. So when it will execute if the condition is true. So for example, okay, let me write the syntax here. If condition, so this condition is true, then only it will execute statements. Okay, execute statements inside this block. So this condition may be, so maybe 2 greater than 3. So maybe a value 2, b value 3, a greater than b. So finally we have to display the true. So directly we can give the boolean true, right? Anything. So then it will execute the statements inside. If it is false, then it will skip this block. Okay, so just remember that thing. So specify a block of code. So what we have seen, that is a block of code. This is a block. So to be executed if the condition is true. Okay. So else if, to specify so new condition if the above condition is false. If above condition is false, then it will execute the else if. So for example, if the above condition is false, so then we have to execute if it is true. Okay, similar way, we have to write the multiple else if blocks. Okay, so like for example, so if above condition is wrong, so then execute next else if block. Okay, so this flow will go until how many else if blocks if you want. And finally, if all the above conditions are wrong, so then it will go to the directly without checking anything. So it will go to the else block. So because we are not writing any condition true or false or something, okay, so directly it will execute statements. Okay, so when if all the above conditions are wrong, so generally only single if would be there, single else would be there, but multiple else ifs we will write it. Okay, so this is the if else syntax. So else statements to specify a block of code, something to be executed if the above condition is false. Oh, sorry, directly else, right? If all the above conditions are false, even above condition means then it's okay. Okay, so finally, switch statement to select. So one of many blocks of code to be executed. So then we have to use executed. So then we have to go for the switch statement. Okay. So we have multiple blocks of code. So if you want to execute based on the condition, then we have to use switch statement. So most of the members, they will get confused. Sir, when to use switch and when to use if condition, as you wish, no issues. But some guys, they may ask one more question. Sir, if multiple blocks are there, so do we need to go for switch? Yes, recommended. Yeah, just a second. Yeah, so hi. So I already told you, right? So I have ordered medicines again. So do one thing. So try to practice this example. So then I will come within 10 to 15 minutes. So I will go and collect the medicines. Okay. So I think so it will take so now 5 o'clock, right? So I will be back within 5:10 or 5:15 like that. Okay. So this just I will go down and come back. So meanwhile, you can practice so whatever the things we have discussed till now, just practice those things. Okay, I will be back. Yeah, sorry guys. So these are the if and else and switch block. So now, so most of the members, they will ask, sir, which one is better? So if condition or switch. Excuse me. Yeah, so you can use if it is a number of iteration, like if you want to write number of blocks, so then it would be, so if it is minor, like one or two or three, so both are same, so minor difference would be there. So generally, so performance wise, which is a little bit better than if condition. So little bit, it is not measure, okay, measurable, just it is very small difference. Okay, and moreover, if you want to go for so multiple conditions, then prefer switch block only. So in those scenarios, compared to the if, so then switch is better. Okay, so normally you can use anyone, no issues. Okay, now we will see one example related to the if else. So I have already pinged or not? Okay, let me ping you. So he asked only, so in the HTML level he needs, so that result, right? We will provide that one only. Okay, fine. So now let me go to the if else conditions. Very simple things. So just I'm trying to use, so where some course equal to, so actually this course you need to get the data from the HTML input. So course input, we know, right? Input type equal to text. Just now we have taken is, right? Similar way you have to take the course from the input, but actually I'm hard coding. So generally we will get the data from the input or from the database level. So either any one of the approach we have to use it, but at present we are more focusing on if else conditions, not from the fetching the data from input or fetching the data from the database. So that's why I'm trying to write a hard coded value. Okay, so now what we have to do, just I'm trying to provide, so if else condition, if, so our course, so this is the assignment operator. So if course equal to so angular, so then we have to write console.log. So this is angular classes. Okay, so then I'm trying to write, so else if course equal to Python. Okay, so then we have to write console.log. So Python classes. So just I'm writing only syntaxes. So else simple examples. So console.log. So React classes. Okay, so even though if you did not give React also, by default this one it will matches, right? So otherwise instead of Angular we will provide React. Okay, so what will happen here? So it will check the course variable here, React is there. So React equal to React. If it is matches, so then it will give React classes, right? So if it doesn't match, for example, if I give Angular here, so then by default, okay, here Angular something. So even if you provide anything else, no issues. So Angular, it will check. So this will doesn't match. It will give the false. So then it will not go inside the if condition. So then it will come to the else if block. So again, it will check Angular equal to Python. This is also it will return false. Then it will not go inside this block. So then it will come to else. It will not check any condition. Directly it will print the Angular classes. Okay, we will check it out. So F12 refresh console. So Angular classes. So for example, if I give so Python, so then so which one it will display? So could you please ping me immediately? Fast. What is the output? We will get it. Do it fast. So if I give course equal to Python, then which one will display? Yes, Python classes, Roshan and Shubham. Yeah, Pratiksha. Okay. Yeah, I need all the answers, each and every one. Yes, Python, Python, Python. So you are not listening my classes. Yes, that Alkesh. So he wrote nothing, Suraj, nothing. No, it will display something, right? Yes, Suraj pinged me. So that case sensitive, it will display Angular classes, right? That is correct. Because so we have already discussed JavaScript is case sensitive and JavaScript variables also case sensitive. At the time of variables, we have given definition. But now if I give Python p caps, here p is small. So these two are doesn't match. So it will give the false, right? So then why it will go inside if it is false? So by default, else condition will execute, it will display Angular classes. So this type of multiple choice questions they will ask sometimes at the time of interviews. Okay, so do not confuse. So it will display same Angular classes only. Refresh, it will display same. If you change p small, then it will display Python classes. Okay, fine. So and moreover here course, this is the variable, right? So this variable name so must be we have to provide without that reserved keywords. Okay, we have already discussed we should not provide variable name as so which one, so reserved words or keywords. For example, sometimes where class equal to Python, if you provide, so then it will not accept because class is a reserved keyword or reserved word inside the JavaScript. Okay, when is, yeah, I will tell you so that Parash. So we will discuss about number object, string object, boolean object. So then you can understand what exactly the difference between double equal to operator and string triple equal to operator. Okay, don't worry, I will explain. So here at present you can use double equal to operator, triple equal to operator, both are same, no issues here. But I will tell you exactly where we have to use and where we have to use that double equal to and triple equal to. Don't worry. Yeah, this is if, else condition related example. So now I will give you a small assignment here only. So what you have to do it. So take 1 hour. Okay. So anything as you wish. Just I'm writing here. Just modify the values. That's it. So you can take 24 hours, right? So you can give any one of the hour. So between 24 hours time. So then you have to write, so hour, so greater than or equal to 6 and less than 12, then good morning, that type of thing. So greater than or equal to 12, so less than 18 means 6, right? So good afternoon. So after that else condition left good evening. So or after that you can write so good night or something. So you have to specify and try to implement that one small thing. So based on the hour. So actually this hour also we should not hard code. We need to get the from the date object. So new date, so get hours would be there, but okay, leave it. So because we did not discuss about any date object till now, right? So just provide 1 to 24 hours, any one of the hour, then write down good morning, good evening, good afternoon, good night, something if else conditions. Okay, try to implement small thing. So double equal to stands for equal and triple equal is strongly equal. That is type and value. Okay, someone is playing. Okay, don't worry. So ignore that one. So normally double equal to operator checks the only equality of content, but triple equal to checks the both content as well as data type also. But don't worry, if I explain all those things, remaining members, they will get confused. That's why. Yeah, fine. So do that assignment related to the hour. So now we will go to the switch example. So switch, so just same story. So where, so you can take so distinction first class, this type of simple example, or otherwise you can take it as like same story, get the day. So we have to write Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that type of things also we can provide. So based on the switch, I will give you that assignment. So grade related one I will explain. Okay, so like if you give the A distinction, B first class, C pass, that type of grading system I want to provide. So for example, this grade we need to get it from the, okay, get it from the UI or from the database. So what you have to do, so take the HTML input, so enter grade, input type equal to text, ID equal to grade, something value equal to some B or something if you want. So then document dot get element by ID of grade, so dot value, then you will get this value. Okay, but I have hard coded. So here, what I'm trying to do, switch condition I'm trying to apply, switch. So that variable I'm writing switch block. So inside that, we have to write the multiple cases. So case, for example, a case, okay. So then we have to write something else here. Okay. So console.log, simple example, simple syntaxes. So later stage, we will use bigger example at the time of React.js. Yeah. So first you need to understand the syntaxes and simple examples. So distinction. Oh, sorry. So distinction. Then we have to provide the break. So I will discuss a little bit more about break, but just remember here, so whenever we have to write the switch cases, we have to break, or otherwise it will execute the remaining cases. Okay, similar way case B. Okay, console, same copy paste, that would be better. Similar way case C. So finally default. So default is similar to else condition. Console.log. So this guy is got failed, you are not passed or failed or something, eligible or passed, you are failed. Okay, so here distinction first class, B, C, passed. Okay, if all the above conditions are wrong, then he is or she is failed. So that type of things we have to write it. This is similar to if, else only, same, but this is another approach. Save. So now finally we got the B grade. So first it will check the case A, it will not go inside. So then it will come to break. So generally if it is go inside, then only do the break. So normally otherwise it will come to the case B if it is wrong. So it will check the only cases. If it is B case matches, then it will go inside. Okay, so this is the way it will do. Same as if else there would be, so curly braces would be there. Here we are providing extra break, that's it. So break means it will come out from the switch block. Okay, so now we will check it out. So first class. So why? First it will check the A, it will not go inside because fails. So it will check the B, it will go inside, it will execute the statements. So then immediately it will execute the break. So break means come out from the switch block, then it will not execute these conditions. If above all the conditions are wrong, for example, small b have given, so then, so these all cases are fails, then it will give you are failed, right? Because case sensitive, right? Same story. So it will give you are failed. So I have given small b, but here we are using case B capital, right? So otherwise you can give something K or something also, you will get you are failed. Okay, so this is the way we have to do the switch condition. So here, what is the assignment? First assignment is So if else assignment is find out the day, so like good morning, so afternoon, evening, something, or night, based on the hour. Okay, so based on the hour we have to find out. So switch related things. So what you have to do? So we have to find out the particular day. So day means like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So you can give so any day. So days generally we have to write it from the one. Okay, so one is nothing but Monday. So if you want to start with 0, so then it would be a Sunday. Okay, same story, same if else, similar one only. Find out the day, like so Monday, Tuesday, okay, etc. So this one based on day. So days can be so 0 to, yes, the same thing, Shubham. So 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. like that. Okay, so you have to do it and you have to apply that switch cases just for identification of these examples, because we are at fundamentals, we are learning. So because we have to learn a lot this if else and switch cases later stage. Okay, so just try to do it here, simple examples for understanding of syntaxes. Okay, so try to do it these two examples. Yeah, so now we will go for the functions. Okay, not functions. So we will go for the, so we have discussed about selection statements, right? So now we have to go for the iteration related statements. So what are the iterations are there? So for loop, so while loop, and do while. So but do while, so nowadays so no one is using. So earlier so they have used so this do while. So because of first we have to do some operations, then we have to do it later, insertion and all those things. But now it is not required. So just we have to use for and while loop, that is more than enough. Okay, fine. So first we will go for the iteration statements. So till now we have covered statements, selection statements we have covered. So now we have to discuss about for loop, while loop, do while. So sir, what is this for in loop, for off loop, for each method? All these things we will discuss at the time of ES6. So I will try to cover all. For in and for off is introduced from the ES6, but for in is like before that ES6 only. But I will try to explain what is the difference between for loop, for in, and for off. These three differences I will explain there. Okay, fine. So here I'm explaining only simple examples for loop. Okay, just for, so then while, so then do while, but do while is not at all required nowadays. Okay, so what is for loop? So it loops through a block of code number of times. Okay, so while loop also similar. So what will it will do internally? Same things. It verifies the condition. So before entering into the loop here. So there inside the for loop also, but at a time we will write. So it verifies the condition. So before entering into the loop. Okay, so before entering into the loop only, it will check the condition. So to check, okay, to check whether, so to check whether, so next loop iteration should occur or not. So iteration should occur or not. Okay, but coming to the do while, so small difference between while and do while. So first it execute the first iteration without checking condition. Okay, so it executes the first iteration. So without checking any condition. Sir, without checking any condition, then how can we do the iteration, right? So generally we have to check that condition, then only we have to iterate, right? Otherwise that is not correct approach. But some scenarios we have to without checking means, so some scenarios maybe, so for that, so that checking is not required. If you check it, then it would be a performance issue, right? For that particular situation, that checking is not required. So in those scenarios, we will go for do while. So without checking any condition, so it executes the first iteration without checking the condition. So then it verifies the condition after finishing each iteration. Finishing each iteration. Any condition, then it verifies the condition after finishing each iteration. So first what will happen, do while, without checking any condition, it will so execute the statement, at least first iteration. So in which scenarios we have to do it like that? So generally, so best example in real time. So what's happening here, so I want to create the table. So by using while loop, I want to create the table, for example. So you are a full stack developer, right? So I want to create the table. So for that creation of table, do we need to check any condition? Not required, right? For example, I want to create customer table, product table. So, but do we need to, so while creating the table, do we need to check any condition? Not required. But while inserting that particular product details or customer details, so we need to check the condition. So whether that guy is so greater than, what is that, 25 years, if it is a matrimonial website. So if you want to open bank account, so at least, so he or she should be more than 6 years, like Kotak juniors or something. So more than 12 years, something. So like that, based on the conditions only, so we will take the details, right? So especially for products details are there. So product expiration date, based on that, we have to insert the data. So that is condition. So while inserting the data, we need to check the condition, but while creating the data table, so no need to check the condition. So in those scenarios, generally we will use the do while. But nowadays, so database tables are created at a time, dump at a time. So no need to do it one by one like this. So that is the reason. Okay, but still some companies or they may use like this approach. But normally, so we are using at a time tables, and parallelly we are creating the UI. So UI and tables parallelly they will do it. But actually, so what at the time of like specification preparation, right? SRS, software requirement specification. So in that time, so first they will more concentration on database first. So then UI fields. So then we will write the front end logic and server side logic. Okay, fine. Because we require first fields. Okay, now come to the for while do while. So just for iteration of statements, like if you want to iterate collection of elements, so generally we will use these loops. Okay, fine. So now let me explain a little bit more about for loop syntax. Okay, for first we have to do the initialization. Okay, so then we have to check the condition. So then we have to do the iteration statements. So these are the iteration statements we have to use inside the for loop. Okay, so inside the for loop, what we have to do? Statements or business logic. So why we have written this syntax specially, So first, whenever we have to do initialization, right? For initialization, I want to start with 0. So then I want to write some condition I less than some 10. So then I want to do the iteration, maybe increment or a decrement. So at present, I'm doing increment. So here at present, I'm trying to display the values. So that value I. So what it will display? So 0, okay. So 0 less than 10. So that is true. So then 0 plus plus 1. So then it will print, oh, sorry. So where I equal to 0, so 0, I value 0, right? 0 less than 10, that is true. So then, so 0 plus plus 1, then it should print 1, right? But why it is printing 0? Because in the for loop, generally, first it will execute this one, then it will execute this one, then it will execute this one, and last one is the iteration. So you should understand this one, okay? So generally, so this one is 1, this one is 2, so this one is 3, this one is 4. So just remember that syntax. So now you will get the better output. So now what will happen then? So 0, 0 less than 10 true. So then finally it will display true, means it will go inside, 0 will print. So now it will come to the 0 plus plus 1. Now I value 1. So 1 less than 10 true. So if it is true, then it will come to down. So then it will print 1 here. Okay, so the similar way, so 1 plus plus, now I value 2. So I equal to 2, 2 less than 10, true. True means it will go inside, it will print 2. So now 2 plus plus 3. So like that, it will go until 9, right? So 9 I equal to 9, 9 less than 10, true. It will print a 9 also. But now come to the 10. So 9 plus plus 10, right? So now I value 10. 10 less than 10, false. It will come out from the for loop. It will print only 0 to 9. So this is the actually for loop syntax and execution. So most of the members, they will confuse about this step. So that's why I have given the numbering for that. Okay. So if time permits, then I will try to discuss about while loop also. So is it okay, or do you have any other class? Just ping me. Shall I continue that while? So because they have given until 5:45, that's why. No class, right? Okay, thank you. Yeah. So coming to the while, just 5 minutes. Okay, cool, cool. So now I want to provide so while loop. So in the while, so you have to write the so condition. So then we have to write the statements execution here. So but here outside the while, we can declaration, we can do it. So if you want declaration or initialization something, so then we are writing condition, then statements to be executed. So then we have to do the increment or decrement or iteration. So this is proper order. If you observe, so this is first step. If you observe here, okay. So second one is condition. So third one is statements execution here, and fourth one is increment or decrement. So in the while loop, there is no this thing, so order would be there. Even if you want to change this one to here, again order would be missing. That's why we have to write it proper way. So now this is the perfect way: initialization, condition checking, statements execution, then increment or decrement. This is the order. So in the for loop, they have to write it steps like this. Okay, so now coming to the do while. So I told you, right? Do while at least first iteration execution without any checking, right? So for that, do. So inside the do, so we are executing something here. Okay, statements execution something. Okay, so then we have to increment or decrement. So then we have to write the while condition. So what's happening here? For example, we have, okay, count or something as you wish. So condition, we will write it. So generally what will happen? So here, for example, I want to write some statements execution, right? So at least one time. So sometimes what we have to do, we will write multiple, right? So that may be creation of objects, retrieving the data, creation of tables, something we have written 10 or 20 or 30 lines of code. Okay, but at least inside the do, so without checking while condition, it will execute once. So, but now in those scenarios now not happen. So that's why we are not using much more this do while. So everyone is using for loop, even while conditions also very rare case we are using. So nowadays, mostly we will use for loop, for in, for off these things. Sometimes we will use in the array level for each method. So I will discuss all those things. Just we will concentrate here only for loop. Okay, fine. So now let me write down one small example of that for loop here. Oh, did I bring this one? Yeah. So nothing is there. Just I'm trying to print fast for loop. So where I equal to 0, I less than something 10, I plus plus. Okay, I'm trying to print console.log. I. Okay, so just save. It will give 0 to 9. Okay, so sometimes what we have to do, so no sir, I don't want to provide inside the for loop declaration, we know, right? So initialization we have to provide because outside also we can use it, right? So where I. And moreover, sometimes here we are hard coding, right? So we will discuss at the time of arrays, we will provide the dynamic value here. So we should not hard code like this. So that array dot length or something, we have to write it, right? So similar way, so where len equal to something 10. So that len value we have to provide. So actually here also we will get the that array dot length here. Okay, so this is the way we have to do the for loop. Okay, so at present we are at basic level. So just do this one. Okay, so coming to the while loop. So while, okay, before that first if you want to declare any variable, so where I equal to 0. So while, so you have to write the I less than 10 console.log, that's it. Oh, what happened? Any mistake we did? Increment, oh, sorry. I plus plus. But still it is not coming, something we did. By less than 10, my console.log, right? What happened? It's got stuck, it's incremented. It's not responding. Something, it's go to the infinite loop something. What happened? 0 less than 10, 1 less than 2 less than 9. It will print 0 to 9 only, right? So what happened? is going to the infinite loop, I think. Yeah, now it is coming. What happened earlier? Okay, fine. So now 0 to 9 it is printing similar to the so for okay. So these are the things would be there. So if you want to provide do while also same thing. So just you have to provide do without any checking. Okay, so just write down I plus plus and after that you have to write so I loop. So I less than something 5 or 10 as you wish. Same story. Okay, 5 means I have given 4. Okay, so these are the things. So one more small thing is there. So break and continue. So I will discuss those break and continue tomorrow. So that is very small thing, break and continue. So while doing the for loop, so if you want to break something, so then we have to use it. So then, no, I don't want only that particular scenario. So remaining all scenarios required. So in those scenarios, we will go for the continue. Break means, so it will come out from that particular condition onwards. So continue means only that particular situation it will ignore. So remaining all conditions will check. For example, banking application is there. So for example, I want all the customers list. So then normally it will display for I equal to 0, I less than 100, I plus plus. So 100 customers are there. But within that 100 customers, so if you want, so gender equal to, but we did not provide any object, leave it. So if that customer, for example, ID, even object here also, so I is there here only. So I equal to, so 71 customer. So then break from 71 customer onwards, it will not display that customer's list. If you want to use continue, that particular 71 is ignored. From again 72 onwards, it will continue. So these things we can use break and continue. So we will see tomorrow, then we will start actual JavaScript from tomorrow. So till now, only fundamentals of JavaScript. So we will start actual JavaScript from tomorrow. So that is functions. Okay, it's very important. It will take too much of time that for functions because JavaScript is functional oriented scripting language. Break will stop after yeah, fine. So that is the thing. So if you have any questions, you can ping me. So I have already given those 2 small assignments. You can do it. So tomorrow I will try to give big assignments based on the functions. Okay. So you have to practice that functions related assignments. Okay. So thank you so much. Bye-bye.